Good afternoon, and thank you all, especially thank the commissioners for coming and joining me this afternoon. I am about to sign and date the agreement between the municipalities and the county, which will say the 27th day of December. All right, that we have agreed, and I've asked the PRO to give you a copy. This has all signatures on it, okay? And also you will have the agreement that the municipalities agreed for which the county put forward, and it will spell it out for you. All right, so you will get that in writing. But I also want to come and make the announcement because beginning last Thursday at about 5:20, we started to receive even better news than us signing just the agreement between the counties and the municipalities. Once we get through with this press conference, then we will federally express the agreement up to the state, which gives us the state revenue commission. It certifies that the county and the municipalities have come to an agreement. That agreement is that the county will receive 25% of the revenue in 2023, 26% in 2024, 28% in 2025, and then from 2026 until 2032, the revenue will be, the county will have 31%. But more than that, on last Thursday, after 5, we received email confirmation as well as telephone confirmation from both Senator Warnock and Senator Ossoff's office. For the first time in the history of Chatham County, Chatham County is in the congressional budget, and we are line item in there. As of October the 3rd, Chatham County received notice of an award from the National Historic Preservation Publication and Records Commission to support the historic archive projects led by the clerk of our Superior Court in the amount of $1,666,000. And last Thursday, we received information from our senator's office that Chatham County's projects were included in the recent approved spending bill. This gives us $1.2 million for our emergency operation center that is coming online, which will be out at the airport, which is the county's public safety building. And also we have, we received $500,000 for our sea level rise study, and the funds will be appropriated in from the Federal Department of Distribution. Furthermore, Chatham Area Transit received $30.7 million over the next 5 years, which will be broken down to like $6 million as well. And then you heard Senator Ossoff announce that we had come to an agreement with the Corps of Engineers for the next 50 years for the Tybee Beach renourishment. Later on, at the beginning of next year, the funds that will be appropriated and how much money that is for the beach renourishment will be made by the Senators Ossoff and Warnock's office. All right, so we know the money has been appropriated, but we're going to wait on them to give us the amount from that. So you can see that as a commission, we've been busy for all of Chatham County, and we're especially proud of the fact that this commission is the first ever in the history of Chatham County to be included in the congressional budget. And that comes from the funds come from the federal congressional direct spending, with both Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock working in our favor, along with your commissioners, to get that money here in Chatham County. There is still yet more to come. The other monies that we applied for as far as grants are concerned, now these monies are not grants. These are monies directly earmarked for Chatham County. They're line item. But in the coming months, you're going to hear us receive grants that we have applied for. And I just want to stop at this point and give Tara Jennings a shout out because she's our grant writer and it's her department that take care of all these things. And so we have applied for more monies coming into Chatham County to help Chatham County to overcome some of the needs that we have here. And we just wanted you to know that we're glad all these things are behind us, but we're looking forward to there's bit more yet to come. And so with that, having said that, if you have any questions, I'll answer your questions. All right?
I have some questions on this before we go back to loss. Can you just talk about the impact of getting these funds for all of these projects for Chatham County?
Well, here's what it does. And this is what we were trying to get over to the municipalities doing loss, that these funds were funds that we had applied for, but we have to wait on the senators and we have to wait on the governor and the state bodies to tell us what those funds were. We know that we were approved for them, but we didn't know how much it was. But what this does is that by getting these funds, it helps us to take the lost funds and use them for the appropriation that they were made for. Now, let me say this to our taxpayers as well. Right now, based upon the distribution of loss, nobody has to raise taxes. Everybody can stay at the level they're at now. So don't expect when we approve the budget in June for there to be a rollback then. It's probably going to stay stabilized for the next year or 2 years, and then you will see the rollback because we have to get from where we are beginning at the 25% to the 31% so that they could receive the rollback that they really deserve.
Did those appropriations require any local match, or were
No, none of these funds require a local match. Now, the grants that are coming are the ones that require a local match.
And what areas are those in, like housing, transportation?
It's going to be in all those areas. It's in the transportation department. It's also going to be monies coming from the interior department as well as from the military, all right? Those are funds that we have applied for, that we've been approved for, but the amounts yet have not been set. So what we have to do is, from the congressional budget, these monies come directly from our senators from their congressional budget, all right, that I'll announce to you today. What has to happen now is we have to take the grants and work through the process when they go to transportation, how much transportation is going to give us, all right? Some of the monies will come also through the core MPO, right? The core MPO just granted, 2 weeks ago, we approved the grants for $14 million from transportation and then $175 million about the bridge and the rising of the bridge. So it has to go through those processes. Those are the matching monies. These are not matching money. These are funds that are earmarked for Chatham County and can only be spent by Chatham County.
Do you have a
time in the history.
total for that?
The total, I have to listen, if I go back through here, it's $1,066,000 for the Historic Archives project. For the EOC building is $1.2 million. And we're going to give you a copy of all these, okay? And for the C-Rise, it's $500,000. And for Chatham Area Transit, it's $30.7 million.
Did you know these federal monies were coming in before you got into this back and forth between you and the municipalities over percentage?
The answer to that is yes and no. And let me explain what I mean by yes and no. We know we had been approved, but we didn't know the amounts, all right? We didn't know exactly how much money. Now, we requested more than this. Now, I can say that to you up front. We requested more, but we didn't know until after 5 o'clock last Thursday exactly what those amounts were, okay? we put our name in, and you gotta, remember this, there are,
So this was part of the omnibus spending bill that?
yes, this is
signed
a
it.
part of omnibus spending. See, and so we put our name in the hat, and we came out with good funds, all right? Funds we've never had before here.
And just to be clear with loss, there will be no impact to taxpayers with the way the.
The only ones I can speak for is the
Chatham
county. As far as Chatham County is concerned, there will be no impact, all right? Our tax base will not change in this upcoming budget. And again, let me say, until we get to the 31%, all right, we can't say that it won't be any impact after these first 2 years. But when we get to the 31%, there should be no impact. In fact, they should start to feel rollback. Now, here's the other part of that we have to pay attention to too. The value of property in Chatham County is on the rise. We don't have any control over that whatsoever, okay? But what we are working to do as a commission is to get as much federal funding that's available to us, get it in here so that we can keep down taxes low, all right?
You mentioned, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, first, do you have any, looking back over this process in the last 2 or 3 months, do you have any regrets about the way it evolved?
Yes, I hope we never do that again, all right?
What are the
I
guarantees?
won't be a part of that. Let me say this to you too. They will do this another 10 years from now because that's the law. But I hope what happened during this period never happens again.
What would you have done differently?
Well, the first thing I would have done was on the very first day, and the very first meeting, we would have sat down and negotiated solely with one another rather than ganging up in a corner and coming here as them versus us type attitude that they came in here with, all right? I hope they never do that again. It's not a you win, I win, but all the taxpayers of Chatham County should win when we go into loss negotiation. So it shouldn't be a municipality versus county type thing, okay? Some of the in fact, I'm gonna say it this way, and this is what I mean from my heart. The way things were done, I hope they never do that again. I hope they never protest in front of this building again. I hope none of the other stuff that was said, I hope nobody brings to me talking about elections and results of election. None of that shouldn't have come in. None of the things should have come in about the beach renourishment because they knew we were working on that with the senators. So you had to wait on the senators. You couldn't get ahead of them. You had to wait until they could get it in to the congressional budget so for it to be done. And we still know that the agreement has been signed by the Corps of Engineers and by Chatham County and by the feds, but we don't know the impact of the monies yet. That's yet to come that's gonna help with beach renourishment.
And all those funds that are coming as part of this omnibus bill, when do those come in?
I think we should start to get it around maybe March, February, March, so, all right? That's when those funds should start to come. But it will be after the first of the year, okay? Because you've got to go through all of, you know, the last thing I think needs to be done is the president needs to sign off. Then once it's signed off, then it's got to go to the different departments, transportation, commerce, whoever, all right? And then they will start to send us letters of awardship. We don't have those letters of awardship, and we can't tell you what that's gonna be, but we can tell you now, everything we could apply for, we did apply for. I worked Tara knows overtime, okay? I had them going and coming. And that's why I don't think that we should understand what the process is, and the process did not include all that foolishness. And I'll say it again, all that foolishness that was going on during the loss negotiations. Right? It shouldn't have been.
You mentioned a lot about how you wanted the city of Savannah to approach the county differently. Was there anything that you guys would have done differently and how you responded to some of what was going on?
I don't know. I just think we reacted to what was going on, what was being thrown at us. All right. I can honestly say that it was trying to paint me as the bad guy, but the folks standing with me can tell you, and the others if they were here, will tell you, at every end, we talked about where the county should be. That's why you saw us at the first pass the 31% resolution, because that's what our finance people were telling us we needed to be in order to secure not raising taxes in the upcoming future. So, you know, we came in with open mind, all right? We came in ready to talk about, and the first thing we were hit with was, no, you're not gonna talk to us individually as municipalities, but we have assigned people to speak for us and to be our spokespersons. And they were putting ridiculous things that had no business in loss negotiation. We're supposed to be negotiating percentages, not about, what's that road? Bush Road, all right? Not about beach renourishment, not about getting reelected. None of that should have been a part of this. Not about coming in before this building and blocking off employees coming to work. None of that shouldn't have happened. That happened in no other county, and there are 155 counties which go through this same process, and nobody did that but the folks here in Chatham County. And that should have never happened.
So you reached an agreement, but what is the state of the relationship between Chatham County and Savannah?
Oh, it's good. Listen, it's not personal to me, it's business. And the business is, how do we save the taxpayers of Chatham County monies, all right? Now, I don't need to tell you, because if you ride around Chatham County, we are growing, all right? And I count all this the growing pains. We have to look at what's going on around us, the businesses that are coming. Hyundai is gonna have a great impact. In fact, I was meeting with folks just earlier today from the Coastal Region Commission, all right? And we were talking about how Hyundai is impacting all the businesses that are here, and then there are yet businesses to come, which are coming that's gonna be a part of the whole Hyundai deal. So we still need to be at the table, and we've got to talk about what do we do with the folks who already live here and the folks who are coming to live here. How do we fix the streets and the roads, all right? I can say this, we're behind the curve, okay? And the reason I say we're behind the curve because we have applied for grants to help us with flooding and road conditions here, and so we're gonna have to do some catching up.
That was gonna be one of my questions. Getting to the 31%, is that more of a catch-up than getting ahead?
It is. It is. The 31% was designed to begin immediately so that we wouldn't have to catch up. But now we're gonna have to catch up when we move from 25 to 31.
Do you see that being more, because you've mentioned in the past, the court systems, and what's your priority in terms of where that money needs to go first? Is it in roads and bridges? Is it in the court system?
Here's what we have to deal with first. There are mandated services, there are 31 of them, all right? They're mandated by the state that this commission puts the money in place to provide those services. That's our first priority. Put the money in place to provide those services. You take, for instance, the money that's coming, the $1.2 million that's coming from the EOC building, that's to protect the 450, roughly, folks who cannot evacuate, who have to stay here, all right? That's a new building that's come up that's also gonna house the 911, because we know we need to do something with 911, but we have to have the space in order to get that done. Those are the things that we have to prioritize all of this, okay? And so the first thing that's gonna come about is, how do we, beginning in January, it's right away, it's not a wait. Beginning in January, we're gonna have to look at how we're gonna provide those 31 essential services, those mandated services that we have to provide, and not fall behind the 8 ball.
Could you, looking ahead for the next 2 or 3 years, what are the biggest challenges facing the commission? I pose the question to any of you, all of you. What are the biggest challenges, and which of those challenges involves the kind of negotiation you had with the municipalities?
Well, here's one thing that let me say, and then any commissioner who want to speak to it can speak to it, since you asked all of us individually as well as collectively. One of the problems we have now is there was a cave-in over at the convention center, all right? And the last that I heard we've already spent like $4 million. And we haven't, that's to find out what the problem is. Okay? The problem started getting extensive, and the hole started growing from 1 foot to 10 feet, to even more, to moving out some soil and bringing in some new soil. So it's changing. That's gonna cost. In fact, I'm on my way next week to the Capitol to talk to the state about their role in that, because the convention center is there. We also have the initiative of, we've got this $500,000 to go with the $3.5 million to get the study done before a major storm hits here, all right? And so those are priority for me right now, is to get those things in. Now, we also have a priority, and I'll let Commissioner Stone speak to this because she and I are on the same page. She's on our national committee, but mental health is one of the things that's really, really at our forefront.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mental health is going to affect all of us, and I would say that one of the things that we've got to do well in the future is managing our growth, whether it's public health, whether it's transportation, whether it's housing, everything that affects the quality of life in Chatham County. And we have neglected mental health for so many years, and now the state has recognized that and has put it on the forefront, and Chatham County was very instrumental in that push. So I thank this commission for all that they've done to help us with mental health, and for Tara's push to help us step up with the National Association of Counties. And it's been a pleasure to serve as the chairman of the NACO, National Association of Counties Health Steering Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that, T-SPLOST did not pass. And of course, we had a lot of projects that we were kind of relying on to have done. There will be funding available. Of course, we'll have to move some monies around, and then we'll have to wait until the state gives us whatever allocation they're gonna give. But we gotta fix our roads, and we know that in certain areas, there are some terrible spots. And we know that we've got the people coming, and the roads are getting smaller because the people are getting more and more. So we've gotta get on the bandwagon of fixing our roads, and so that it's safe to travel up and down the road. We've got studies being done now on 204 and 95 from Georgetown to 17. That area has had several incidents, accidents with death. And the residents in that area are requesting that, we get the study done. And we want a study we want recommendations that will come back that will be safe for our residents. So that's sort of a priority for me right now. As the money come in, we'll just have to see what gets fixed and what has to wait. But we promise to fix it all at some point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the roads and bridges, that's my priority. Why? We have a new influx of businesses that's coming in as a result of the Hyundai dealership, a Hyundai company, as well as growth in Chatham County. Certainly roads and bridges, and we also need to raise those bridges so we can get the bigger ships in here to help our economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm also on the bandwagon with transportation. I believe that the impact that we're expecting with the new population that's coming in is going to make transportation even worse. It's already bad right now, but if we work on it, we can make an improvement by doing better, by making transportation flow more easily. And so that's my biggest pledge, to work on the transportation. Thank you.
Who's going to pay for it?
We are.
Yeah.
Let me say,
Like we always do.
here's we.
So you say no tax, no.
We are.
So who's going to pay?
We are the people who live in Chatham County, all right? Our top priority is the quality of life for everyone in Chatham County, okay? And so here's what the process is that we have to go through, which we have a step up on. everything that we receive monies from the state and from the federal have to go through a study, all right? We are taking these funds and we are going through studies right now. We have some studies in motion right now, okay? Those studies will dictate how much monies we ask for from the state. But there comes a time when, the best way I can say it is the way it was said to me in DC. There comes a time when Chatham County gonna have to have some skin in the game, okay? That skin in the game can only come from one source, that's taxes. Whether we do the T-Splosh tax, or whether we do E-Splosh tax, or whether we do the Splosh tax, it has to come in somewhere through taxes, all right? The last thing we want to do is raise property taxes, because that's your highest tax, okay? So that's what I mean by from all of us. We are getting the studies done that will tell us exactly what it's gonna cost when we start to look at widening I-95, Airway Avenue, and Pooler Parkway. What it's gonna cost when we start to widen Little Neck Road, all right? What it's gonna cost when we start to put in more widening on 17, which is Ogeechee Road between Bryan County and Chatham County, because that's where the growth is. And so therefore, 2 lanes will not be able to handle the volume of traffic. We know that, okay? The study is ongoing now. What we need to do now is, once the study is done and once we give the feds, apply for a grant, we have to have the matching funds, okay? And the matching funds is Chatham County skin in the game. So it has to come from us. And the commission only has your taxes to deal with. And we're trying to keep them as low as possible, all right? So that's my commitment to you, is that we're gonna work to keep them as low as possible.
Thank you.
There's been a couple of mentions about the Talmadge Bridge and raising it. Has the port come back to y'all with its feasibility studies of the different alternatives?
No, they're in the middle of that now. And that's a part of MPO as well as the commission. Those studies have to be done so we'll know what the impact's gonna be. What are you gonna do? We know what probably needs to be done. We know the bridge is either gonna have to go up or go under, one of the two, which is the best way to do that. Okay? So we have to do those studies to tell us what we're going to do. And let me say this too, to remind everyone that this county commission gave you the largest rollback, 1 mil rollback on your taxes during this tax season. See? And so we're working at it, but as Commissioner Milton said, and as the rest of them are saying, we have to look at and how we're gonna balance the budget, because we have to have a balanced budget. That's the law. Okay. Good. All right, well, thank you all, and as I said before, PIO will give you the necessary information that we just had here so that you will have a copy, all right? And thank you all, and again, I say, I hope we never do loss the way we did loss this time, all right? It was unnecessary and it wasn't needed. So I hope we just do a better job, because we all have to live here, all right? And it's nothing personal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.